To all Jamaicans, at home and in the diaspora, I wish you a happy new year. For many people, the celebration of a new year is a symbol of hope for our future. The start of a new year is an opportunity to focus on what lies ahead, while taking into account the year we have just gone through and where we are today. 2022 was a very difficult year for many Jamaicans. Our people have endured a major spike in the cost of living without much help to cushion the crisis. We have seen levels of violent crime that have us living in fear and sap the hope of our people. We experienced restive months in recent times with the uncertainties among our public sector workers as to their pay arrangements. Repeated states of emergency have been declared across various parishes as the government uses this as an ongoing crime-fighting strategy. It's been going on for 5 years now, off and on, but the murder rate in our country has continued to rise. Under the Constitution, the state of emergency is intended to be the last resort mechanism to protect the state from subversion. By allowing extended periods of detention of any person without charge or access to the courts, a state of emergency suspends many of the most fundamental rights and freedoms of our citizens. The Supreme Court has on 2 occasions now ruled against the government in their recent use of states of emergency, and the government's appeals against those rulings have not yet been heard by the Court of Appeal. With this pall of constitutional doubt hanging over the government's use of state of emergency, it has been my solemn duty not to support the extensions of these states of emergency when they are brought to Parliament. Jamaica needs a strategy which does not violate the Constitution, one which tackles the root causes of violent crime in our country, and in a way which can be supported by all well-thinking Jamaicans, including the opposition. It is my hope for 2023 that the government will embrace a more collaborative approach to addressing the issue of crime. Jamaica needs a balanced approach to our national security crisis, using both tactical law enforcement and well-designed social interventions. The Police High Command have said that there are approximately 300 violence producers in our country. If that is so, our efforts should be geared towards urgently putting in place a legal procedure for targeting them, without infringing the basic rights of millions of ordinary Jamaicans. I have therefore suggested a court-supervised system of detention of these known violence producers, while cases are built against them so they can be charged and brought to justice. I have even offered my services to the government to develop the legislation to implement this much-needed procedure as quickly as possible. We have also on many occasions made the recommendation that zones of special operations, the so-called ZOSOs, should be employed more widely to provide security in the form of a strong presence of police and soldiers on the ground in those communities that are plagued by high levels of violent crime. This is what the people want to see, and it does not require a state of emergency for this to happen. And these security measures must be supported by programs to provide positive pathways and opportunities for our youths who are at risk. And they must include mechanisms to foster conflict resolution and avoid a spiral of reprisals in communities. It saddens me that important and proven intervention programs like the Peace Management Initiative, PMI, and Unite for Change have been discontinued and nothing has been put in their place. I commend the private sector for recently launching Project STAR in an effort to fill that gap. However, it is limited in scope and it will not reach most of the communities which need to be stabilized and which need peace. Jamaica also needs to prioritize programs that reaffirm the positive values and attitudes on which a strong society can be built. We need to invest in early childhood development by providing support for weak family structures and raising children in vulnerable households. We must increase the minimum wage and make it a livable wage so that parents can support their families without enduring the deprivations of poverty. We cannot allow this crisis in our education system to continue. Our schools lack basic infrastructure and resources to enhance the learning experience of students. Hundreds of students, or thousands, are still suffering from learning loss due to the pandemic, and some of them have not been able to return to school. We must invest, raising standards in basic and primary schools across the board so that they become world-class institutions. That will plug the pipeline of youths who have been failed and abandoned by the system and who end up embracing a culture of violence and wreaking havoc on our society. In 2022, we witnessed unrest and demonstrations within the public sector. The smooth rollout of the major restructuring of salaries and benefits for public sector workers has been undermined and confused by misleading communications when it comes to sensitive issues like the future of the motor vehicle concession policy, the recovery of discontinued allowances that have already been paid since April 1st, and the payment of annual increments over the 3-year period of the program. Civil servants and public sector workers are the backbone of our system of governance. They deserve to be adequately compensated for the work that they do, and our national development goals require a competent and motivated public sector. I urge the government to level in clear terms with the public sector workers and their unions on all the outstanding issues, and not to obscure the situation by resorting to clever or complex language that is so easily misunderstood. The principles of transparency and equity must be reflected in the process and outcomes of those negotiations. In 2022, we celebrated our 60th anniversary of political independence from colonial rule. Yet we're going into 2023 with the British monarch still being our head of state and their Privy Council still remaining our final appellate court. Time come for Jamaica to be truly independent. We must decolonize these remaining aspects of our governance by acceding to the Caribbean Court of Justice as our final court of appeal and becoming a republic with a Jamaican as our head of state. Let us not proceed in a piecemeal manner on these important questions. 2022 was a year of dwindling trust and confidence in the governance of our nation. People are sick and tired of public resources being used for the personal enrichment of a select few who are politically connected to the powers that be, instead of being used for the people for whom those resources are intended. Global inflation is now raging, and interest rates continue to increase as central banks around the world try to control it. Prices of basic food items and utilities have gone up and up, while our purchasing power continues to decline. People are struggling to make ends meet, and survival is a daily grind in Jamaica. We must respect the remarkable strength and resilience of the Jamaican people. I know it is hard, but I encourage you to keep the faith. Weeping may endure in these hard times, but as sure as the sun shineth, joy will come in the morning. The tide is turning, slowly but surely. Jamaicans are becoming increasingly aware of those who have their best interests at heart and those who do not. Time comes for us to put people at the center of governance by developing policies that are geared towards social inclusion, equality, and a better quality of life for all Jamaicans. Time comes for us to return power to the people so that we can collectively make the Jamaican dream a reality for all of our people. In 2023, let us recommit to upholding the values and principles of integrity on which our great nation was founded. Happy New Year, Jamaica. May God bless us all and bless Jamaica, land we love.